tutorial, I will be teaching how to make stabilized whipped cream. If you like this type of tutorial, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the notifications for the channel, and I will post the link for the recipe in the comment box below. A lot of people that want a light coating for their cakes like to use whipped cream, but if you use whipped cream without being stabilized, it tends to melt. So in this tutorial, I am going to teach you how I make my stabilized whipped cream, plus I will add how to make it sugar-free for those people who want sugar-free desserts. For this recipe, we will be using unflavored gelatin. Usually you want to sprinkle the gelatin on top of water and make sure that it's evenly coated on a wider cup. Most of the time, people will say do not mix it. But I have found that if you lightly mix it, it will ensure that you don't get clumps of the gelatin and everything will bloom even better. So if you're having issues with clumps in your gelatin, just take a fork and lightly mix it until everything is well blended. Make sure to do this as soon as you put your gelatin in the water before it starts getting hard. You need to let this bloom for at least 5 minutes. In the meantime, you can measure a cup of heavy cream. From that cup of heavy cream, I will save a quarter of it to add to my gelatin. This is how the gelatin looks once it's bloomed. You can use the double boiler to liquefy the gelatin, but if you want to move fast, you can use your microwave. Usually it takes for me 30 seconds, and all you want to make sure is that the gelatin looks transparent and there's no lumps in it. Once you heat your gelatin, it looks clear and liquid and no lumps. You want to make sure not to overcook it. I am adding the quarter cup of milk to the gelatin, and the milk needs to be at room temperature. The reason why I do this is to bring the gelatin to room temperature. This way, when it hits the cold heavy cream, it doesn't get all lumpy. This will help those of you who are using a manual mixer instead of a stand mixer. Now we can start whipping our heavy cream. You need to make sure that your heavy cream is cold, and the bowl can be cold too. So you can put the bowl and the whisk in the fridge ahead of time to keep it cold. Usually I tend to add the sugar for the whipped cream once I got the whipped cream to the right consistency. For this, you will need to make sure not to overmix the whipped cream because it will become butter. Some people add it earlier, and this helps to make sure that it doesn't become butter. Another reason to not overmix it is because it will become dry and it will be harder to work with. But since we're putting some of the heavy cream in the gelatin, if it comes a little bit too dry, it will soften up as soon as you add the gelatin. So let's say in here is just a little bit on the dry side. I am adding the gelatin and then I start mixing. As you can see, it's not as stiff and dry anymore. Before we finish, add a quarter cup of sugar, powdered sugar, a little bit of salt, and finish mixing it well. You can also add a little bit of extract. I'm using vanilla extract. Clear will be the best bet so you have a white consistency, but if you add the brown one, it will give you a tiny bit of color. The great thing about this recipe is that you can use this for sugar-free cakes. So if you need some icing that needs to be low on sugar, you can add some confectioner's swerve, which is a sugar substitute, and you can make it sugar-free. Great for those who are on keto diet or who has diabetes and need low sugar. You do have to keep in mind that once you make a cake with this, it needs to stay in the refrigerator. Once you add the sugar, you can see you can whip and it won't become dry, but it will get a great consistency. And here is the finished product. You can see how smooth it looks. You can use this for icing your cake, and you can pipe over your cake with it. You can see in here how beautiful it pipes. If you want to save this recipe for later use, make sure to mix it again to get rid of any air pockets that might have formed. You can make whipped cream without the stabilizer, but this will help stabilize your whipped cream for up to 2 days. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, visit me in Facebook, Instagram, share your work with me, subscribe to my blog, and until next time, ta-ta!